been to court. The judge already determined that certain felony charges should lodge against you in a preliminary hearing. You go back to court for your arraignment, and you find out that there are now more criminal charges that you didn't know anything about before. Well, I recently went to court, and that exact scenario occurred. And my client looked at me and said, "What happened here? How is it that there are now more criminal charges and more serious criminal charges than what we were told about at the preliminary hearing?" My name is Steve Fagan from the law firm of Fagan, Fagan & Davis, a criminal defense firm here in the Chicago area. That's a great question. Join me while we talk about it. There are essentially three parts to any felony criminal case. There is the pretrial, the trial part, and before any of that, the approval of the charges by a gatekeeper. What does that mean? Well, a gatekeeper can either be preliminary hearing in front of a judge or a hearing in front of a grand jury seeking an indictment. The prosecutor gets to choose either way. That doesn't mean that the prosecutor must choose only to proceed in one way. The story I told you about just now occurred in Chicago at 26th California. We had been through preliminary hearing. The judge had determined that certain criminal charges did properly lodge against our defendant and that those were felony charges. We came back for arraignment, which is where we were going to plead our client not guilty and get information about the case, only to find that there were a bunch of new charges and significantly more serious charges. Now, the state had a right to add more charges later. The state has the right to determine what charges are going to be filed. Now, in a felony case, they need the approval of either the grand jury or the judge. So they've got two ways they can file additional charges, even after there's already been this approval process. They can seek to file an additional information. And information is a charging document that the state's attorney can file with the court, or they can seek a true bill of indictment from the grand jury. In this case, the state's attorney went to the grand jury and had a hearing, presented what evidence they thought was sufficient for additional criminal charges, and the grand jury approved those criminal charges. Now, it doesn't mean that our client has been found guilty, simply that he's facing more criminal charges than he had previously thought. The grand jury in this case found that there was probable cause to believe that a crime was committed, that that crime rises to the level of felony, and that our client may have committed that crime. That's all they need is probable cause, a very low standard of proof. And once they have that, they issue a true bill of indictment. And that's how we ended up in this case with additional criminal charges. Thanks for joining me. Again, my name is Steve Fagan from the law firm of Fagan, Fagan & Davis, criminal defense firm here in the Chicago area. If you or a loved one is facing criminal charges here in the Chicago area, including Cook, Lake, or DuPage County, Illinois, whether it's a felony or misdemeanor, pick up the phone, call the number on your screen. We'll be happy to discuss with you how we can help.